Nathan Gatland, MD of Openhub. Welcome to the Rebel Agent podcast.
Pleasure to be here, David. Thank you.
There's lots to get into today. You've done particularly well with your career so far. And so I want to hear all about that, hear about your personal stuff, also your time at Openhub. So maybe you could introduce yourself and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so Nathan Gatland, originally from the UK, Milton Keynes is home. Moved to Dubai, 11 years ago now. Graduated from university and made the move straight away. And yeah, been here 11 years now.
Yeah, and when you first came over, you were working for a real estate investment company, was that right?
Yeah, so actually
IP Global?
Yeah, so I actually came over without a job.
Did you?
Obviously being 21, I came on holiday twice to Dubai before the move while I was at university, like everyone else. Fell in love with the place. I go out there for a few years, make some money and come back. Obviously being a university student, I only had enough money to survive here for 3 months without a job. Luckily, I got a few offers in those first 2 weeks. And IP Global was kind of my first job in Dubai. And what they done was, and they still do, a real estate investments in more established markets, if you like. So probably wouldn't work now, but back in 2013 when...
So primarily for people living in Dubai who want to invest in what you would describe as more stable markets?
Yeah, I mean, more stable back then. So your Londons, New Yorks, Paris, Melbourne, that are kind of securing a 5% capital appreciation per year and 6 to 7% yield, whereas back then Dubai was kind of
all
like
over
that,
the place, yeah.
But with 14% yield. So it was just about educating the wealthy investors here that there's an alternative option. And obviously I was a 21-year-old coming into a sales floor that at that time to me was like Wolf of Wall Street, financial advisors, property, and these guys, what I thought then were old guys, which I'm there now, 30, 35, making a lot of money and just fell in love with the place.
Fantastic.
And then I transitioned actually into marketing for IP Global just because I was sourcing my own leads a lot and it turned out I was okay at it. So I went into the marketing division, hosting corporate events, sponsorship, creating loyalty programs, platinum clubs, things like that. And then from there, we've done a lot of corporate golf days that were pretty much the biggest corporate golf days in the region at the time. And then I transitioned actually to commercial sales manager for the Trump organization when they opened up their first location here back in 2016. So just when Trump became president.
When you were at IP Global, was a lot of that your own initiative?
Yeah. So
and presumably Trump organization like that.
Yeah. So that's obviously IP Global saw that at the time because I was in sales, but most of it was self-generated. There wasn't much social media, paid ads back in those days. Makes me feel old saying that, but it was all self-gen really. And Dubai wasn't booming as much as it is today. And yeah, that's kind of how that transition happened. And obviously from some of my events at various golf courses around Dubai, I had the connections there. And I knew a few of the senior kind of management that were going to set up the Trump organization in Dubai. Yeah. And I'm an avid golfer as well. So I mean, the Trump brand globally, they've got some of the best kind of golf resorts and hospitality venues in the world.
Bit of a dream job, really.
Yeah, exactly.
How old were you then?
I would have been 25. So playing with, big clients that are looking to host corporate golf days, sponsorship, sponsor the club was amazing. I mean, it was a little bit more difficult selling the Trump brand in this region at that time.
He said one or two things, didn't he?
And posters got ripped down, I think, the week I joined. And I mean, if you're a golfer, you're going to play it anyway, whether you like the brand, you like him and what he stands for or not. But selling to brands, because that was predominantly my job, B2B, selling to brands that were going to be associated with that brand, that was a different animal. But I mean, we got Rolls-Royce, got Emirates NBD, Citibank, all the big brands came. And it was quite a new development then because obviously it's situated in Damac Hills. There was no residents in Damac Hills at the time. There was still a sand road. And I've got a good story actually. So Rolls-Royce sponsored the club. So they put all their cars in the VIP bays, things like that. And we hosted their golf tournament. But it was still a sand road to get into the golf club. but obviously everyone they're inviting to their corporate golf day own a Rolls Royce. They're one of their top clients. So when we kind of signed all the contracts, it was probably 3 months prior, and it was like, oh, will this road be finished by then? I was like, yeah, of course. Like our RTA have confirmed it'll be finished. Anyway, it wasn't finished. So you had all these Rolls Royces just driving over building sites effectively to come and play golf. So that was interesting.
Yeah. One of the challenges of it.
Yeah.
Did you meet the Donald yourself?
I did, yeah. Met him twice. They came over. Sorry, not Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump. So met them twice. Been on a few Zooms with them, not just directly, but they were involved. Just incredible people. And again, politics aside, their kind of attitude from their father and just the willingness to keep going. I mean, look, he's been president. He's probably 80 years old. Been cancelled off social media. Tried to be assassinated, and he's still going for president again. So just to have that mindset,
he's never going to stop, is he?
Yeah. So, and they're just a different kind of people.
Yeah.
So you get that with like Elon Musk. Those kind of people are just, it's never enough. It's what's next, and yeah, I admire that about.
Absolutely,
jobs,
yeah. And then you transitioned from Trump Organization.
Yeah, I mean, great organization, but it was more the sector that I just didn't want to be in. I didn't see myself in hospitality. I mean, would I have gone into hotel, restaurants, golf clubs around the world? Just wasn't, it was great at the time playing golf with corporate clients, but I didn't see that myself as a career. So I kind of took a little bit of a step back into company formation and corporate services. I knew one of I'm really good friends with the MD there. And they were one of the market leaders.
And what's the name of that company?
Virtuzone.
Right.
So, and they were they're one of the market leaders kind of in our space with what I do now. So company formation and corporate services. And then I moved over to head of corporate services and sales to set up that division for them. And then I transitioned after about 4 years to what we now call Openhub. Corporate services.
And presumably you were headhunted by Openhub.
Yeah, so I got a message from... so Openhub is actually a subsidiary under a very large and historic group in the UAE called Sencorp. You'll probably better know it of Better Homes.
Yeah.
So Sencorp, the holding company, own around 14 companies directly, and Openhub is kind of the newest... umbrella of that.
Would I be correct in saying that Better Homes, as you say, was the main one, and then business opportunities come off the back of that?
Correct. So, I mean, what Ryan and everyone at kind of Sencorp do well is they set up the company strategically. So there's one client that can kind of be serviced in their ecosystem. So they've got 5 or 6 real estate companies, then they've got a maintenance company, a water filtration system to go in your villas, pet house. You had Ben Barr on, who's a major shareholder, and also a big shareholder in Openhub. Ben is so creating the ecosystem, and then company formation was just a natural progressor because obviously you have around 400 real estate agents selling to the rich and wealthy, people moving here for the first time, buying 10, 20 million dirham villas. They've probably got a company somewhere in the world. They probably need a visa. They probably need bookkeeping, golden visa. So that was kind of the thoughts behind Ryan Mahoney, Rick Wan, Ben Barr, of all of kind of Sencorp. So Openhub was only there to service the kind of internal clients. We done no advertising externally last year, and it kind of just took off anyway. And our name was getting out there.
Just getting referral from the real estate agents.
Yeah, and we've got our own channel partners from IFAs, financial advisors, tax accountants. So everyone we hire's got their own network anyway. So word was getting out a little bit. We just didn't want to go too big because it's a very saturated market. We didn't want to go too big too soon. Same as real estate, it's very saturated, and we just want to get the core right first. And this year, starting from January, that was the right time for us to kind of really go big.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me because you have got all these real estate agents that are working with those clients as you described. And if you don't do it yourself, you're referring to other people, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you better to keep it almost in-house or in-house as far as Sencorp's concerned.
And it's better for the client, the agent and me, because say you come to us and you're taking 3 or 4 services within the same kind of scope and person. I mean, it's perfect. Everyone's aligned. It's not, let me check on this. And they all go hand in hand, the real estate purchase to golden visa to setting up your company. And company formation is difficult in the UAE, and people don't realize that, especially from other countries. So we're obviously both from the UK. You have Companies House, one governing jurisdiction that operate every company in the UK. Here you've got 52 different jurisdictions, which are all geared towards different geographical locations and different business activities. And that can be quite a minefield. If you Google company formation in the UAE, it's just overloaded with information. And quite interestingly, we've done a study, and 25% of Openhub's business is restructuring previous companies by other companies.
Right.
The other company formation companies that were set up 1 or 2 years ago, because a lot of people chase the price, which I get. You're starting a new company, your capital, you need to use it for staff, marketing, whatever. So because the setup costs in the UAE are so much more than, for example, the UK, £20, 100 dirhams online, off you go.
Yeah. To Companies House, as you say.
Yeah. In the UAE, you're looking at a minimum of 5,000-6,000 dirhams, so £1,200. You can go up to 100,000 dirhams, depending on third-party approvals, how many visas you need, the business activity, the corporate structure. So, like I said, it's a minefield out there, and selfishly, that's why companies like Openhub exist, because it's required.
No, it makes total sense for people to use you. I mean, you would think up to a point that puts people off, but then we've got all the advantages that Dubai has, which we can get into in a few moments. So you have to go through that hassle first, and it's much better to use a company like yours.
And a lot of the time we're actually the same price as the jurisdiction.
Right.
So how we work, we earn our money. I mean, not every jurisdiction. Like I said, there's 52. We have our preferred partners. But there's a number of jurisdictions that we work with, and because we give them so much volume, they will give us a kickback depending on if we do 100 companies with them per month, 200. So we keep that discount. We don't pass that on to the client. So if you're coming over from the UK, Australia, America for the first time, you can go directly to the jurisdiction, set up yourself, get the structure right, the right activity, do all the visas for you, your family, your staff, bank account, accountancy, or you can come to us and we do it all for you for the exact same price.
It's a no-brainer.
So that's kind of our biggest selling point. It's not always going to be the case, because not all jurisdictions have that. So we don't have the luxury at doing it at cost price. But that will come after your initial consultation that's free anyway. And then you can because we don't push volume. It's because of the way we source our leads. They come from channel partners like an accountant or a tax advisor. They've already got the structure in mind on how they want to do it, and we have to work backwards from that. Whereas in our industry, and I guess it's again relating back to real estate, it's pretty similar. There's a lot of product pushers, and that's where the 25% of Openhub business is restructuring, because it might work now for you, because you've chased the price and it's sufficient, but it's all about your 3 to 5 year growth plan and if that will still work. Because it's very costly, because you can't move jurisdiction. So you have to close down that company, visas, bank account, and reopen where you need to be to grow. Hassle. Yeah, and I get people want to save money at the start. But it will cost you more money and time in the long run, definitely.
Yeah, but what you're saying is get it right from the beginning.
Yeah,
come to somebody
100%. Like anything, yeah. And look, there's a lot of good people in our industry, and there's a lot of bad, like every industry. So just do your research on the consultancies. Before. And there's different levels. You can go to your lawyer. The big FTSE 100 companies will have in-house lawyers that will do it for them. You have consultancies like Openhub. We're not the cheapest. We're not the most expensive. We're middle of the road, but we back our services. And then you get the very cheap companies that will probably take a hit on the price. Not really advised, just push products. Again, they get that bigger commission. From the jurisdiction, and probably take a loss but charge you elsewhere.
So you went to Openhub a couple of years ago, and it was actually formed, and you were the first MD.
Yeah, so I set it up. So I went across in October 22, but we launched officially January 2023. That was the same month that I became a dad for the first time as well. So as you can imagine,
stressful
that was
time.
And like I said, I was very happy in my previous role. I was comfortable, so it was a risk I didn't need to take. I just felt now was the time. But obviously, having my daughter born in the same month was, where do you allocate your time? You feel guilty for both. Do you work harder so she has a better life in the future? Do you spend more time with her? So it was a learning curve for me, because that was the first time I've run a company by myself. and also been a father for the first time. So yeah, the last 2 years have been a bit of a whirlwind, but so rewarding from both.
You're glad
both
you've
sides.
done it.
Yeah, 100%. The skills I learned, and obviously the leaders of the bigger group that I'm learning from on a daily basis.
Yeah, I can
I'm meeting
imagine.
with Ryan Mahoney, Ben Barr, Rick Wand, and going through P&Ls and strategizing. So that kind of information is invaluable for market leaders like that operate and own 12 to 15 companies.
Yep.
And then I'm getting that kind of advice, network structure. So yeah, it's been, and I think that relates to Openhub success as well. Just because I could have left my old role set up by myself, but that infrastructure, that knowledge, that access, resources, and it's very hard to enter our market, I believe, but without that.
And it's very similar with real estate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I would imagine you've worked with real estate companies helping formation.
Yeah.
And a lot think they can do it, and some will make a success. But I bet a lot of those agents regret leaving there.
Yeah, so I get it a lot. So you get, fresh faces, fresh off the boat from all around the world. They earn a lot of money, real estate agents, especially in this booming market. And that they do come to me and say, I'm looking at setting up by myself. I mean, I can talk from personal experience. I can do company formation all day long and corporate services, but running a business is a completely different animal. I've seen a lot of people do okay at it, but a lot of people fail. And, these are young girls and guys, 25, 26, they've earned 200,000 dirhams on their first sale, then 300, 100, and, then they go out to start on their own. And that's great now while Dubai's booming, but to ride the wave in a downturn, that's when your companies like Better Homes, Live in Ascot, those big leaders will survive the wave, and those kind of new companies won't. But the opportunity's there. And a lot of people talk about how many real estate companies are now in the UAE, but what people don't talk about is the access to set up a real estate company. So you may remember 3 or 4 years ago, a mainland company with a commercial activity had to be 51% owned by a local Emirati, and a foreign expat was 49%. Now with real estate as an activity, that had to be 100% owned by a local Emirati, which is an alien thought to anyone outside of the UAE. That doesn't mean they take 100% operational control or 100% financial gains. There are contracts in place where you pay that local a nominal fee and they will sign over all them rights to you. But there's obviously a risk for the local Emirati owning 100% of that company as well. That's now gone. So you can own 100% as an expat of a real estate company. So that access has freed up them agents to go out and do it themselves. Because before, with all the cost of setting up a real estate company, probably looking at 60,000 dirhams, paying the local Emirati the nominal fee.
You also used to have to put a bond on one side. I think it was 1 million dirhams, something like that.
Yeah, that comes and goes with certain activities. It's like that for recruitment now as well in the mainland, because of all the troubles
Mainland
before.
being businesses that aren't in the jurisdictions.
Onshore businesses, so Dubai Economic Department, not in a free zone. So that's like that for recruitment at the minute, just because of the kind of laws previously, I think in 2008, with the blue collar workers, and they weren't getting paid because it was just shelf companies setting up and things like that. So, and Dubai do a great job of banning business activities, what you can set up and what you can't, if there's too many in the market. And they've done that recently. So at the minute, business centres is one. You can get it, but you need to be a reputable brand. Corporate services and company formation, what I do, that's another one. You can't set up a new company at the minute.
That's good for you, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But they control the market. If 3 or 4 close, then they'll open it up again. I think that's great.
Yeah, and just going back to the real estate companies that set up, what agents tend to do, they conflate being good salesmen or good saleswomen themselves with being good business people. It's a completely
separate,
different.
Yeah, I know some of the best salespeople, especially in my industry, because we're recruiting them now.
Yeah,
but I don't think they could manage. And that's not a bad thing. Some of them don't want. Some good salespeople don't want to manage because a lot of the time they'll earn more than the managers anyway through their commissions. Yeah. So I think it's a balancing act, which I've learned as well, and I'm still learning every day. Luckily, I've got the people that I've mentioned that are helping me on that journey, and I've kind of got them to stand on. But if you don't have anyone, it would have been would have been very tough.
Yeah. So you came across to Openhub.
Yep.
You sort of founded it with the help of these others, as you
Yep.
described. What did you start off with in terms of staff?
So it was me. I started in October, so that was just basically formalize the strategy and set it up. In January, when we launched, I had one sales agent and one admin and a PRO. So we was 4. And now, as today, we are 16 people.
Really?
So 6 sales staff, and we're going down the strategy of we're picking the best of the best.
In terms of staff.
Yeah. And just because of the approach that we go to the client, we're going down a much more consultative role rather than pushing product volume based. And that gains trust and client referrals. So I actually done a study around a month ago. We have a close rate of 66% on client referrals. Whereas now we've started paid ads, the close rate is around 7 to 9%.
Yeah, it's inevitably going to drop.
And you're paying a lot of money. And obviously they come thick and fast, the paid ads in a saturated market. The client referrals are obviously less through our channel partners and our wider networks, but they close a lot easier because of that consultancy approach. So I never want to lose that. And setting up a company is a big thing, especially if you're not used to the laws of the country and you're moving here for the first time, or you're setting up a branch subsidiary. It's complicated.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're talking about that big drop off in conversion, but that is in addition to what you were already doing in terms of the referrals.
Yeah,
isn't
exactly.
It? So you might as well push that, and you might as well expand.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, we done really well as our core business last year, and now we want to be a market leader.
Yeah.
And that is the goal in the next kind of.
I'm sure you'll get there.
Yeah.
And we were discussing earlier, you're also possibly looking at Saudi in the future.
Yeah, we want to get our core product right first. We're coming up to 2 years old nearly. Saudi's going to be massive, and Saudi's even more complicated than the UAE in terms of company
more opportunity
formation.
for you.
And it is very hard to set up a company there, and we don't want to get it wrong. There's not many Dubai companies that are setting up Saudi at the minute, and I've heard some horror stories as well. So we will look to expand into Saudi when the time's right. We want to get Dubai fully up and running first. Like I said, we offer an ecosystem of around 30 additional corporate services as well, in terms of aside from company formation. So we're your one-stop shop. I know it's very cliche, but everything's there. But what I found was we're only selling around 8 of them 30 products. So rather than just throw everything at it, let's make them 8 really good, and they're our core products, and that's what everyone wants.
Focus.
And just get rid of the fluff. And then Saudi is our next project.
So get it right in Dubai, and then look to
build it. We'll have more of a brand, and by then most of our Dubai clients have been successful. We'll have one eye on Saudi anyway, so it's just a natural correlation and synergy for them.
And presumably better homes will be there then.
Yeah, it's not for me to...
Not that you can
comment.
say too much at the moment.
But no, I think any company of that stature is either already in Saudi or have got one eye on it.
And then for people that are thinking about moving to Dubai, maybe they're thinking of setting up a business here, why should they come over here?
I mean, the opportunity is just second to none. I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, it's fairly obvious, but I just think, because I was back in the UK around 4 weeks ago, and I just think Dubai has just got so much opportunity. People work so hard, because if you don't work hard and you can't get a job, you lose your job. There's 30 other people in line that have got the same experience and qualifications of you from all walks of life around the globe that are knocking on the door. You don't have that in the UK. You're comfortable.
It's because people want to move here and want to be here.
It's work from home, 9 to 5. They have no stress on the evenings and weekends. Whereas here, if you're not performing, like I said, there's so many people. You lose your visa for your company. You've got 30 days to get a new job or get out of the country. So it's always just...
But the rewards are there, aren't they?
Exactly. So you work hard and you get rewarded. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is the opportunity in Dubai is just... second, and you're with like-minded people.
Yes,
and you're feeding off them. Whereas in the UK, and I'm not just slagging off the UK. I imagine most
you can do.
Most European countries, US, you have kind of every level of.
The whole of the West is up to a point. I see it as being systematically taken down.
Yeah,
it's depressing, really.
Yeah,
and it's to the benefit of Dubai and Saudi coming up that Yeah.
And you even look at the tax here. I mean, corporate tax has come in, obviously 9%, which it never had before, but I actually think it's been a good thing for the UAE. The transparency it's created within companies. So if
much better auditing and...
Yeah, so before, I mean, in most jurisdictions, you wouldn't need to submit financial accounts to anyone. Now with the 9% coming in, you need to submit and keep financial records as you should and submit them every year for your corporate tax return. Which has just made the transparency for much larger companies from all around the world coming into the UAE. And like I said, the access as well with the local Emirati being removed from the mainland license, it's all just stacking up. Golden visas are getting a lot easier to get.
It gets easier and easier all the time.
And the people that qualify for them, they're the people that Dubai want in Dubai. So the strategy from the top and the leadership's just been bang on, step after step.
Yeah, and then you get the safety.
Exactly. So 9% corporate tax, 5% VAT, and 0% income tax. Cumulatively, it's not the lowest in the world, but are you going to go live in the Cayman Islands? No, you're going to live in Dubai where you've got that opportunity to have them low taxes, world-class private healthcare, safety. Like I said, I've got a daughter. The schooling is second to none. Safety and no crime is important to me. And rubbing shoulders with people like yourself, Ryan Mahoney.
Thank you.
But do you mean it's just a networking dream?
Yeah, it is. I mean,
right
I had a few weeks back home recently and I missed the buzz. Yeah. I missed the drive.
And I play a lot of golf and that's the opportunity. It's a great networking opportunity for me to spend 4 hours with someone, not being salesy. They could be CEO of a bank out here. They're not going to be of a low level employment, put it that way. But in the UK, or anywhere else in the world, you don't know what you're going to get, and you're just having a non-salesy chat, and they're now a contact if you might need a service from them, or vice versa. Yeah. And that's the same with wine and cheese nights, networking events. It's all there for the taking. If you want to be successful in Dubai.
Going back to the golf, you finish on the 18th, don't you? And if it's gone well, you exchange cards and exactly. You meet up again and it could be good for business. If you don't, then it's goodbye.
Yeah. And even if you don't need their services, I played a golf with a guy the other day and he does what you need. And it's just, again, it's small. And great obviously networking. Dubai's population is booming. I remember when I first moved over, you knew everyone in your age group and your nationality. You saw them in the same bars, the same golf clubs, things like that. Now with the population increasing the way it is, that's got less and less, and me becoming a father and going out a lot less.
But still within your golf, you play at Arabian Ranches, don't you?
Yeah.
Still within your golf club, you'll be known. And
yeah, exactly. And people know what I do there, and I'm the first person they'll contact if they need company formation, and they're from that club. So
and you still get time to play with you. Well, obviously it's partly. You can put it down to business, can't you? But
yeah,
with a little daughter,
it's once a weekend now, rather than twice at the weekend. I don't get to in the week anymore. I try to squeeze nine holes in before work when it's hot, but you don't always get the time. And waking up at 6 a.m. and then a full day at work, and then picking up the little one from nursery, and it's a lot. But no, it's also a de-stress. I mean, the golf's not de-stressing.
No,
but it's important to have that time away. So I've always kept. That's kind of my thing that I do to get away.
We were discussing earlier, and you play off 4?
4, yeah.
Wow, that's proper golf.
Yeah, I mean, it can be 4 sometimes, but yeah.
What's your lowest round, Arabian Ranches?
Level par.
Oh,
so I've never broke level
but
par.
Level's amazing round a course like that.
No, I've come close a few times, but it's just frustrating. And golf's a symbol of life, I think, as well. Just the challenges you encounter, weather, playing partners, scores.
And it can change so quickly.
Exactly, there's so many different factors.
Holes, but then a couple of birdies and
you're coming back next week, and it's so expensive to always be so bad at it and time consuming. If you were rubbish at football, you wouldn't be going back every week. So that's kind of my outlet. And on the flip side, a great networking. We've got the climate for it here. It's beautiful golf courses and
floodlit.
Yeah, exactly. Play at night, and it's just the right place to mix with the right people.
Before I let you go, the future. Can you talk about the future plans, personal and work?
Personal. I mean, Dubai for me is the future. It wasn't probably when I first moved here, like everyone, 1 or 2 years and go home, but. I mean, the schooling for my daughter, opportunities, like I keep coming back to the safety, crime rate here, the opportunity, and especially what I'm seeing with Openhub, where it's going to go. Saudi's definitely on our radar, like we've mentioned. There are possibilities for other countries as well, but I don't want to jump before we can walk. Because like I said, we're doing really well now.
The whole region's booming, isn't it? Because
exactly, and I want to solidify us as a company in a downturn as well. So it's fine booming now, and if we run too quickly and there's a downturn and something politically happens or environmentally in Dubai and it's no longer the place to be, it's who survives that kind of downturn. And
you're well placed for that.
Yeah. But it's just securing that. And to be honest, there's no downturn coming in Dubai that I can see. It's just
not for the next few years.
It's just the best place to be in the world from every aspect, in my opinion.
Before I let you go, where's the best place for people to make contact with you?
So our website, so www. Do you still say www? I don't know.
Don't bother. But
Openhub ME, so openhubme.com, or the email address is info@openhubme.com, or if anyone wants to connect with me on LinkedIn.
You're active on there?
Yeah, I don't post as much, but my marketing manager, she's got me
she got you onto this.
Yeah, she's all about personal brand, and she's been doing amazing. So podcasts and personal brand and posts on social media is my new thing, apparently.
I'm going to put pressure on her to get me Rick Wayne next. So.
Yeah, I'll put a good word in. I should be seeing him later today, actually, so I'll put a good word in.
Thanks, Nathan. Great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.